Thank you everyone for joining. This is great. Hopefully today you'll know some of this stuff, and then you can also learn a bit of stuff. That's what today's session is all about. And of course, we're going through what social media platforms are best for your business, and highlighting some of the pros and cons of those platforms, and how to maximise them to their fullest potential. So appreciate you guys joining me today. So who the hell is Propel? Well, we're a team of exclusively women. We haven't meant to be that way, but it's just ended up that way. And like Mel said, we service quite a varied range of clients, mostly locally here in Wangaratta in northeast Victoria. So like we have a commercial fertilizer company we do digital marketing for, to a cleaning brand company, to everything in between, boutiques, and so from that we have a really good vantage point and viewpoint across lots of different industries, which means that we get a good taste of what's working in different industries and what's not, and how to maximize your potential and different opportunities. So these are the team, and we're actually located just in the Big W car park area there, so if you ever want to drop in, feel free. Some of our clients that we currently work with, so we service these guys from a varied range of different services, from social media management to digital advertising to content creation, website design. Pretty much we try to run the gamut of digital support, just because as Mel mentioned, my background was working in a lot of different agencies in Melbourne, and I love working in those environments, but certainly could see that the small businesses, medium-sized businesses, were getting a bit lost in the race. So it's been our absolute pleasure to be able to support small to medium businesses to get a little bit more savvy about this stuff, from whether it's just from like a consultation perspective, or we're helping them from a management perspective as well. So hopefully just this session today can help you guys on that journey with your whatever you're looking to get a bit of better handle on from a social media perspective. So today's agenda. So first off, why use social media for your business? I mean, obviously I'm totally biased, but I think that it's just such a massive opportunity, and we'll go into, I guess, all the aspects of that. So the groundwork, what groundwork do you need to do in order to really identify what platforms are best for you and your business? Then we go into a bit of a platform breakdown. I could literally spend all day talking about all the different platforms. We've just highlighted, I guess, a few key ones today. Also highlighting the pros and cons of those platforms, how those platforms can work together, making the most of your precious time as a business owners, because we are so limited with the time that we have. How do we tackle content for these platforms, because that's really the crux of the matter. And some, looking at some growth tactics and some idea starters for you guys to get going. First off though, I want to kind of preface everything we chat about today with this understanding that social media and the platforms you choose isn't everything. It's not everything for your business. It's just one part of a bigger picture, a bigger marketing picture. So it feeds into your overall marketing plan, which might be how you communicate with your customers, not only in a digital sense, but like a more traditional sense, like print media, so on and so forth. It's really just one part of a bigger picture. If you remember anything from today, remember this: it's not the microphone that makes the singer great, it's their voice, it's the song, it's the way they sing it. So social media and all the different platforms you use are just tools to amplify your message. They're not the whole kit and caboodle. So I could very well sit here and say, okay, you need to be on TikTok, you need to be on Facebook, whatever that combination is, but it's not the silver bullet for your business. Okay, so, what are the real benefits of using social media for your business? I mean, it's probably very unlikely that you'll find a business in this day and age that isn't on social media. And the reason that they're using social media is because it's a great way to connect with your customer or consumer on a more intimate level. It's all about that human to human marketing. It's really, such a case of presenting the stories and the storytelling behind your business or your brand. If I could use my own business as an example, and I've told this story a couple of times, but when we launched Propel, it literally was just me at my kitchen table with my 2-month-old bub with me, but I launched it with the, under the guise of Propel Digital. I never showed my face, I never presented myself or my ethos or my story. And as soon as I changed that tact a little bit and started showing up and started to present Lauren behind the business, things just really started to blow up, only because people could connect with me and they could really see the person behind the business and get a sense of who they might be dealing with, and how that human to human connection is going to work in a working environment if they wanted to work with us moving forward. So that's one massive benefit that things like traditional media will unfortunately never really surpass. Of course, social media again is a really great way to understand your return on investment. So every connection you make, every sale, every lead, it really can be tracked and traced back to that original connection or source or purchase via social media. So there's a lot of kind of follow-on aspects of that which go into, data tracking and conversion tracking, and that's not what we're going to go through today. But another benefit of social media really is that you can totally track every interaction that leads to a sale, which is fantastic. It's a great way to create awareness and engagement for your business, of course. Whilst these platforms are not owned by us, which is always a bit of a scary thing, they're free. They're free to an extent, obviously, there's other aspects to that, but they are free, which means that it's a great, what other kind of, channels can you think about that you could put a video out and get thousands of views on that video? It's really such an amazing opportunity. So a great way to, and a very accessible way for businesses to create awareness around and engagement around their business. Social is also another relatively free and easy way to increase the SEO or the search engine optimization around your business. So I know that whenever people are searching for digital marketing services, they'll often come across our Facebook profile or our Instagram profile because we have formed our profiles to be related around some of those key terms. Social media platforms are just like a different search engine, right? They're just like a different form of Google. So when you're thinking about how you create your presence for social profiles, and we'll go through this in a moment, think about, if people were searching for your business, what would they be searching for? And how can I insert that into the about section of my profile, or the Instagram bio, or the content that I present? Or the hashtags that I use. These are all searchable elements of social media, which is a massive benefit. And at the end of the day, all of these things kind of lead up to the fact that using social media ideally shortens that buyer's journey and helps present your offer at the right time. For example, we pretty much exclusively promoted this little workshop via social media and a few couple of posts. And it's great that we're able to connect here today with a couple of new business owners. That's just another opportunity to shorten that buyer's journey for potentially working with people down the track. So every kind of touch point you can have with a business is that next opportunity to just shorten that journey for them to come and work with you in another sense. As I mentioned, all that being said, choosing the right combination of social platforms for your business is never going to be the silver bullet. Today's session really is more about highlighting the pros and the cons of each platform. and how to choose the best ones for your business. So let's get into it. So the groundwork. When I'm talking about the groundwork, I'm talking about, I guess, the 3 key things you have to always consider when you're choosing the right platforms for your business. So this kind of feeds into, I guess, defining an overarching social media strategy, which I think that we actually hosted an online webinar about that. I can't even remember. Do you remember when that was? A couple of months ago.
Yeah.
So I've got slides on that one as well if you would like to look at how to craft a social media strategy. But essentially, when you're defining finding the platforms that's best for your business, we're going into thinking about some strategy points for our social media presence. So that being, we need to define our goals, right? So what are our goals for our business? Is it brand awareness? Is it conversion? Is it customer interaction? What are those key goals we need to define? Will help inform, I guess, what platforms best feed into achieving those goals. We want to then determine what channels our audience uses, right? So where our audience at? There's no point being on a platform if your audience aren't hanging out there. For example, we'll go through this in a moment, but I mean, LinkedIn is a great example because it certainly is a platform that's very, very geared towards professional service, business to business marketing. So it has naturally is more geared to those industries. So like a little cafe potentially is not going to get the best results of being on LinkedIn. So why, I guess, waste precious time that you have as a business owner when it, potentially is not the best place to hang out. Your audience isn't hanging out there. So thinking about how your audiences use platforms. So for example, if you want to gear yourself towards a younger audience, traditionally we know that Instagram and TikTok are places where younger audiences tend to hang out. So that's where we might, focus our energies. Then we also need to think about what type of content you create. Obviously, at the end of the day, these engines, these machines need to be fed by content, which is just the internal struggle for business owners that we find, unfortunately. We'll go into, I guess, that content matrix in a moment. What's the easiest way to get the most content out of what you're doing? But yeah, examine overall what content you have to play with, what opportunities you have to maybe step up your content game and streamline how they roll out. Again, we're going to go through that in a moment. And that will again help inform what platforms you have to play with, what platforms you're wanting to look into. So I guess they're kind of some 3 key questions to ask yourself before you're going and choosing to employ a new platform. So as I mentioned today, we're not going to go through all of the platforms. These are, I guess, some key ones we're going to focus on. We're going to go through the pros and the cons, and if you should be considering it for your business, and yeah, how they work together. So probably no surprises here, but we've got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and Twitter. As brilliantly shown by Dolly Parton, have you seen these memes going around? I think it was 2020. All social media platforms aren't geared towards the same goal or audience, right? So we need to consider the individual strengths and weaknesses and how they can be applied to our businesses and how we can work to gear our content in different ways to speak to different opportunities on different platforms. So the pros and the cons. So we'll go through each platform individually, and feel free to just jump in with any questions that you might have. So Facebook, I mean, for most businesses, this is their I guess core platform, or there will most likely be a presence on Facebook for your business because it is really vital, again, particularly from that like search engine optimization perspective. It's got such a massive reach, over 1 billion active users per day worldwide, so it'd be remiss of a business to not have just some sort of presence on there. Another pro of Facebook is that it's got fantastic opportunities for targeted advertising, particularly getting really granular around understanding the actions that your audience take through things like the Facebook pixel. I'm not going to go into that too much today, but essentially this little bit of code that you can pop from Facebook onto your website can help you track interested users around the platform. So if someone's come to your website and then they've gone back to Facebook, you can serve them an ad relevant to their journey and their experience. So like what other there are other platforms that do that, but what such a interesting and personalized way to serve key messages to your audience that a billboard will never be able to do, or a paper ad will never be able to do. Facebook's great for customer interaction, especially Facebook groups, and that's certainly where the platform for a little while has been moving towards. Facebook groups, you'll even notice it as you scroll through your feed on Facebook. Like, I think the way of it, and you can notice it after, probably a lot of you have been on Facebook since 2009, if I can speak to my own experience, and I can see how that journey has evolved over the time of being a user. Well, obviously when it first went on, it was sharing every thought that popped into my head onto the platform, which is so embarrassing. But now, like the platform's very much geared towards seeing a lot of video content, seeing a lot of content shared in groups that you might be a part of. It's a really fantastic way to interact with people on a more intimate level. So certainly something that we've tried to see for our clients a little bit more is thinking about Facebook in that aspect. Like it's using your Facebook page as a kind of core place for content, but then how can we actively go out and find the customers we need to find through things that are getting an upsurgence on the platform, which those being groups. So, we're thinking about strategies for our clients that we're, getting involved in more group conversations as represented on their page, and just generally having more, one-to-one conversations as a business. It's got great connectivity with most website platforms, as you know. So as I mentioned before, things like implementing the Facebook pixel, things like creating shoppable products via connecting to websites. It is really because it's like Zuckerberg owns our life, it really is so entrenched into absolutely everything we do. Of course, it's commonly used by customers to learn about businesses, so opening hours, specials, etc. So again, thinking into that social search engine optimization aspect of it. I know when I'm looking to get a bit of information about a business, I will Google, and rather than clicking on their website, more often than not, I'll go to their Facebook page, check out their opening hours, check out their About Me section to learn a little bit more about their business. And just generally get a good sense of what they're all about and what opportunities I have to engage with them. So having that stuff all up to date is quite important. You just never know how people are going are searching about your business and finding you. So making sure that kind of housekeeping is complete is always really good. And Facebook has really powerful analytics as well. Some cons are that ads can require expertise, and they often require a large budget. Not always, but sometimes, particularly if you're new in the ad space, and there's been a lot of changes in the ad space over the last 12 months. So that would be one con. Requires consistency and maintenance like every platform, and that literally is a con on every platform I'm going to go through today. All social media, regardless of what platform it is, requires consistency and maintenance. And there's tools and tricks to make sure that you can keep up with that, machine of social media. But that is just that's just unfortunately the name of the game. Facebook support is terrible. It is so bad. We have had lots of kind of examples with client things that just, you need to reach out for Facebook support and they're just not helpful. So that extends to Instagram as well because they're owned by Facebook. So that's not a con necessarily to get you off, to put you off going on Facebook. It's just, again, part and parcel of the platform. Should you be using it? Yes, you should be using it. Facebook's just right for about any business, as I mentioned. Though paid ads can be, cumbersome and expensive, they're optional, you don't have to use them. It's always your best bet to just keep your Facebook active. As I mentioned, it really is it's a key search engine in this digital environment. So keeping it active through some of the tactics we're going to go through today is really beneficial for your business. Instagram. So Instagram, as I mentioned, is owned by Facebook. So again, it's a really big player in this space. And truthfully, not many businesses who aren't on Facebook won't be on Instagram as well, because they're very well interconnected. Same vein as Facebook has a massive reach on the platform, 1.2 billion active users a day. It is slightly geared towards the younger demo, but I think that has changed over the journey. A lot of different demographics are using Instagram, particularly for the different tools that it has within the platform. As you guys, if you're using it, you would know, it's changing and evolving every day. There's probably not one week that goes past that there isn't a new update. Stories being a really big driver of dynamic content for businesses, but there's things like reels, lives, videos, connecting it to your website for shopping opportunities, actually having an e-commerce opportunity within the platform, which has been a more recent update. That's a fantastic way to use Instagram to really drive direct sales for your business. As I mentioned, Instagram stories has just blown up since, I literally remember when I was working in agencies in Melbourne, and when stories came out, and with most things with Instagram, we all know they rip everyone off, but we were sitting there oh my God, they've just launched Snapchat on Instagram. But we're sitting here talking about Instagram stories because it is just they have the market share, they really do, which means that, there's massive opportunities with Instagram stories, and it's a great way to get into content in a really accessible way. If you're struggling with content creation, I would challenge you to just start getting on stories a little bit more. It doesn't mean you're pointing and shooting at your face, because that really does take a lot of, it's a muscle to build on. But certainly sharing little snippets throughout your day, little photos here or there, it's a great way to build on that muscle, build on that content creation muscle, because it's content that's only available for 24 hours. It doesn't have to be polished. That is where you're creating those human-to-human connections. Because of the Instagram users in the room, I'm sure that when you guys go on the platform, you click stories first, 100%. I know I do. Just start doing it. Just start doing it. It's a very mobile-centric platform, of course, as we know, which is great because we're on our mobiles if you saw my hourly reports on how much I'm on my phone in a day, it's a lot. So using platforms like Instagram is a really great way to connect to people where they're at, which is on their mobiles. And of course, it's got great tools for creating customer conversations. I know that when I'm looking to kind of poll my audience a little bit, I will put an Instagram poll, or I will put up a question box. I'll ask some stories of ask some questions of my audience. It's a great way to create customer conversations and make those connections, those one-to-one connections, which is so vital in social media. We're talking about being social. Cons, again, it's owned by Facebook, so terrible support. It requires consistency and maintenance. And with so many tools available, it can sometimes be hard to have enough content to service all the different tools. And what I would say to that is only commit to what you feel comfortable in. And this applies to all these platforms here. Don't commit to something if you don't feel comfortable in it, doesn't feel right, if you feel like you can't service that, because at the end of the day, it's far better that you guys are hearing one or two platforms and you're comfortable there and you can service that with content than stretching yourself too thin across too many platforms and having a potentially like a profile that someone might come across that hasn't been posted to in maybe 2 or 3 years and they're like, oh, what's the go with this business? It's far better to, conserve your energy to where your audience are and where you're going to see results. Should you be using this platform? Yeah, I think this platform would be like Facebook and Instagram, probably would be the two key ones that I would say are required for businesses. And look, it's certainly geared towards a younger demographic, and it's a very visual platform as well. So it's often considered to be a better brand awareness platform than Facebook because of just the visual nature of the business and the opportunity to extend your reach to new businesses through things like Reels and using hashtags, so on and so forth. LinkedIn, won't spend too long on this because we did mention before that it really is a business-to-business platform. So I think from a LinkedIn perspective, what's really vital is having a business presence, but also like positioning like a professional presence. So something that I think like personally even we could do a bit better at Propel is having our kind of core content that goes on our business profile, but then individually as a authority in the digital marketing space, what can I push out from my own personal LinkedIn profile that's going to bolster the appearance or support the content from the Propel business profile. It's really about, it's a networking platform, so what can you do from like a personal level? Again, it's that human to human connection aspect to it, to really present an employee or a business owner presence as well as having like your business profile. It's a really great platform for recruitment, and it's one of the few platforms actually in today's kind of environment that still has really great organic reach, just due to the nature of the fact that there's less competition on the platform, there's less people on it. It's not perfect for every business, so for Econ being, it's really not super geared towards like e-commerce or direct sales businesses, but people in professional services, or business-to-business marketing. It's a great opportunity to make those more unique and authentic connections with businesses. Again, it does require consistency and maintenance, and it's primarily only for business-to-business marketing. So only use it if you're like a professional business that's probably likely to recruit one day, which could be many of you, certainly. And it's perfect for businesses who are looking to connect to other businesses. So I would say use LinkedIn if you're looking to establish your authority in your space, but consider it from a two-pronged approach. How can I foster my business presence, but how can I use my own individual presence to bolster the appearance of my business? YouTube. So YouTube is a great place, obviously like it's a video platform, we're all probably pretty familiar with that. Its videos generally drive more conversions, which is why a lot of the other platforms we've spoken about today already are really gearing up and moving more towards video. Facebook's got Facebook Watch now, we've got TikTok of course, Reels, like videos do convert. And actually one of these stats that I didn't know is that YouTube is the second most visited site behind Google. So again, like just the opportunity of using that as such a powerful search engine for your business. Again, it's not going to be right for every business because like it requires long form video content, and who has the time to do that? Maybe not everyone, but it's a great way to create core content that you can then distribute via other channels in bite-sized forms. Again, kind of like similar to LinkedIn, it's a great place to establish yourself as an industry leader or as an authority on a topic. I think some of the biggest search terms used on YouTube are how to or show me how. I mean, I know like whenever we're struggling with something in the office, we'll go to YouTube and learn how to do it. So if you can, again, create content around those kind of aspects to your business, maybe you have frequently asked questions that relate into your niche. Can you create a long form video that you pop on your YouTube channel and it sits there kind of like as a great place to have some key brand content or key how-to content, right? I know that's kind of a strategy we're taking for a lot of our clients, is that we're creating YouTube channels for them, creating core content that they can then distribute to their customers in any way or fashion they might need. So that might be, tutorials, it might be, how to work with X client, all that stuff that we can then distribute to their people in their circle. As I mentioned, it does require video content, which can be timely and costly to create, and it does require consistency of maintenance, but probably not to the extent of the other platforms that we've spoken about today. I think, particularly to that last point I made, it is a great place to house informational content. So if someone was to come across your YouTube channel and you hadn't posted for a good couple of months or even a year, I don't think that would be too out of the norm. So certainly it's always best to be consistent on the platform, but probably not to the extent of the others. Only jump on YouTube if you've got enough content to service it. I think with YouTube, it really does require its own kind of type of content. We're all about repurposing content, we'll go through that in a moment, but for example, repurposing a short reel to go onto your YouTube, probably not the best tact, but maybe, for example, you had, just like we're recording today, had done a presentation or done an Instagram live that you think would be beneficial. That's a long form video content. Pop that on your YouTube. That's kind of best what it's geared towards. It requires upkeep, but know that videos don't really have to be super polished, but they do have to be interesting enough for people to want to watch them for a good few minutes. TikTok, this is probably the platform that I'm most excited about, and I certainly don't think it's right for every business, but the reason I am most excited about it is that the speed in which it has grown and its user base has grown. And interestingly, it certainly when it first launched was very geared towards younger people, but actually now the user base is almost evenly split between 20 to 29, 30 to 39, and 40 to 49. So massive opportunities there. And I think a lot of people are using it literally just to scroll, right? But it's a great brand awareness platform in the sense that you've got the ability to go viral in a much easier fashion than any of the other platforms, right? We know that just by the nature of the beast, and like any given platform, you're very beholden to that magical algorithms that are at play, and truthfully, that's totally over my head. What does that algorithm even mean? I don't know. But there are certain ways to get success on the platform. Certainly, like with YouTube and like with any video marketing, what you're wanting to do is present a video and hook people in that first 3 seconds, so they want to continue to watch on. And the nature of this platform, in differing to YouTube, is that of course it's all about short form video. Even though they've recently launched 1 minute videos, 3 minute videos on the platform. You might not all be on TikTok, but I know certainly the way that I consume it is I just go down this massive hole, this time suck hole, and that's a problem of mine, but it's certainly, it really does have that opportunity to connect with people when they're, in that kind of rabbit hole of being sucked down the vortex of TikTok videos. Again, your presence doesn't really have to be too polished here. You will notice if you are on the platform that videos are very of the moment, haphazard, as they happen, because that's what people are connecting with and resonating to. Of course, There's lots of trends on the platform as well, which is, I guess feeds into things like Instagram Reels as well, but you'll notice that of like the top 10 songs that are trending at the moment on your radio, they've all been driven via TikTok trends. Like truly, that's the influence that this platform has at this point in time. Which, I mean, causes us to ask some questions like, well, okay, that's great for, you know, my 16-year-old daughter, but how do I make that relevant to my business? Well, from a Propel standpoint, we have a TikTok account. It's very small at this point in time, but like we really are using it to kind of like document all the different aspects of our business, right? And stuff that I think that probably doesn't live anywhere else, doesn't fit anywhere else. It's really just that connection platform. It's that brand awareness platform. It's that place where we're showcasing, yeah, like what we get up to in a day, or what's involved in crafting a content calendar, or like really just kind of trying to break that fourth wall with our customers and potential clients so they can get a better understanding of what we're all about. So from like a business perspective, like I think if you're wanting to get into TikTok, again, like it's a content aspect to it, of course, like any platform, but truly the easiest way we've been able to get on the platform is like literally recording everything from our day-to-day, recording business, like just me at my desk, recording and going to a shoot, recording everything relating to our business, and then finding the opportunities to pull these threads of storylines together in a way that, you know, you might not find that interesting, but I guarantee you someone who is, you know, being a stalky stalk on your business will find interesting. So that's truly the only way we've been able to get into TikTok land, is that fact that I've just started recording everything in relation to my business, and then creating videos from that. And it really, like it doesn't have to be a work of art. It really can just be strings of kind of content pulled together. And then again, from that aspect, if you're already doing that on your stories, think about how you can repurpose that content from your stories to make a TikTok video. Like there are all these different ways we're sharing content throughout our lives, and it doesn't mean that it just sits on stories and that's it and it's gone. Like, what can we use that content for? Well, let's make a TikTok video out of it, or let's make a Facebook ad out of it. It could be anything. Cons: this platform though in particular does need to be fed by a lot of content. It probably requires more upkeep than some of the other platforms. So that's why many brands and businesses are opting to like have a face of their TikTok account, and obviously not all businesses have the luxury of having more stuff than just themselves. But certainly, like one example is Vogue. They literally reached out to a TikTok creator and gave her a job. They said, "We love your TikTok, come and work for us and be the face of our TikTok." Like, in what other world does that happen? So the more ownership you can give to one person, if you have the luxury of that, the better, because it just means you can feed that engine a little bit more. It does require consistency maintenance. So I only use TikTok if you've got the resources to update it frequently. But if you're keen to get involved, I'd recommend assigning like a TikTok captain within your team to account, so that they can keep the platform running, enabling more content to be published. And use it if you've got other content that you can repurpose on that platform. Start recording yourself doing like literally the most mundane things, and you'll be surprised at how much content you'll have to create. Pinterest, I won't spend too long on this because this one I think is really geared to certain businesses, Candace, yours being one of them, I would say. This platform in particular is like very much geared to be a search engine, just the way the content is pushed out there. It's imagery with tags that speaks to certain industries. So it's very much like if you're searching for key things, and perhaps you go to like the image search thing of Google, often when you click on something, it'll be a pin from Pinterest. So it really is geared to that search engine optimization. It's primarily driven by female users, so if that's relevant to your business, it's a very visually appealing channel. It's also less noise as less businesses are on it. It's a less expensive ad space, won't go into that, but it's a great opportunity. And it's a perfect for businesses with like how-to content to share. If you use the platform, you'll know that there's a lot of like infographics and that kind of stuff. It's not suited for all businesses, being a con, so it's primarily suited for businesses who, you know, have the luxury of having like a bit more of a polished presence. So like it's naturally geared to things like interior design, home design, recipes, weddings, that kind of stuff. The nature of the amount of content that's shared on the platform means it can be hard to stand out, just because literally like pins are flowing here, there and everywhere. So when you are thinking about this platform, think about how can I stand out. Only use it if it marries well with your industry, so home, decor, cooking, that kind of stuff. Twitter, again, I'll spend 2 seconds on this because really we barely use Twitter for our clients, but it is relevant to some industries. So for example, it's actually quite big in the farming and ag industry. Of course, it's very big in the news industry. So like truthfully, I wouldn't be bothered with a presence here unless it's relevant to the industry. It's a great place to share like quick content again, but it does require upkeep. It has a less kind of direct path to conversion for your customers. So I'm sorry, Twitter, but I'm just not a fan. Cool, so how can these platforms work together? Obviously they don't live in a silo from one another. They really are, like, all play interesting roles in the path to conversion, or this marketing funnel, right? This is the infamous marketing funnel, which you probably have heard of if you've had anything to do with marketing, in the sense that when we're interacting with a customer, we have to drive them from awareness to consideration, so they're considering working with us, to intent, which is actually working with us. So, you know, all these platforms play different roles along that journey. So for example, like a YouTube video might be about like a how-to around your business, so that might be a great introduction to a potential client who is wanting to, like learn more about that niche of your industry, which then might be followed up beautifully by a carousel Instagram post that shares a bit more about like your value add and what you have to offer, and then a direct call to action that's shared via Facebook or LinkedIn. So of course all these platforms need to work in conjunction with one another. That's not to say you have to use them all, but say for example, if you're just using Instagram and Facebook, think about how they can ping nicely off one another. So if you're sharing content on Instagram, perhaps you can share it to a Facebook group you're a part of. Share it as a win, share it as a story, all of that stuff. Okay, it's all very well and good, but it seems like a lot of work. Like, I get it, all these platforms, you must be like going, oh my God, are you kidding? But you really have to ask, how am I going to stay active on all these platforms? And another question you're probably asking is, how am I going to create enough content to service them all? Well, it's a very good question, and there's a lot of ways to streamline this process, those being scheduling and automation. A lot of you probably aren't new to scheduling. It's very common practice, so that this would be kind of like level one of, I guess, getting more content out there with more streamlined processes. There's a lot of different apps, there's just like so many, so you're probably using a variation of one right now. The one we use for our clients is Later, only because it's got a lot more platforms than many others do. So this is an example for a client. We've got them content scheduled on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. They all go out at the same time. Scheduling apps also give you the opportunity to customize your content per platform, and that's something that's always really beneficial if you can like slightly customize your content per platform. because as we've already identified, these platforms are kind of different, they work in different ways. Obviously you can schedule this content for when your customers are most online as per your audience insights, which is a great benefit. It automatically publishes so you don't have to worry about it, keeps you active more frequently, because if you align to best practice, you can spend, one day of your month to batch a whole bunch of content, schedule it all out, and that can be considered as your core content for the month. That's locked and loaded, ready to go, and anything you do on top of that is like more reactive, more, I guess that one-to-one connection with your customer, whereas these pieces of content are kind of probably hitting on some key content pillars for your business or your brand. They're presenting call to actions to your audience. They're just locked and loaded, ready to go. So that's level one in terms of using a scheduling app, whether it's later, whether it's like Planoly, whatever, there's so many. But having said that, they've all got their slight glitches and discrepancies, and that's just part and parcel of using tech in this world we find ourselves in. So later's probably our favourite one. We still have glitches, but it's probably the one we've found the least glitches with. Level 2, so I guess your schedule, your content. This would be like leveling up even further, would be like using an automation tool like Zapier, however you say it. So Zapier is like a third-party integration tool to connect like your social channels to things that live outside of the realm of social media. So for example, here's some zaps that you can create with Zapier. Perhaps it's sharing a MailChimp campaign you've created directly to LinkedIn, and that's just a little zap, they're called. A zap you create that happens automatically when that action is taken, it's triggered to go onto your LinkedIn profile. Same deal, maybe you've got a new MailChimp campaign, it goes straight to your Facebook account. Maybe it's sharing Facebook posts from a Facebook page to a Facebook group or to another Facebook page. This is one that we actually use for Propel. It's pinning any new posts that you put on Instagram, they just go straight to Pinterest. Perhaps it's like recording new Twitter followers or Instagram followers in a Google Drive spreadsheet so that you might be able to do like a little surprise and delight thing for them down the track, or uploading a new Instagram media to YouTube as a video. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's like so many things you can do with Zapier, and further to that, you can create kind of like, these are just one-to-one connections, but you can create flows that go, okay, well if I've got my Instagram post, it's getting posted to Pinterest, and from Pinterest it's going to go onto my Google Drive, and then from Google Drive it's going to go into my Dropbox, and so on and so forth. So you really can build these really intricate flows. Of course it takes time to do that, but once that's done, it's done, and it's a great way to, extend your reach with no more effort. So certainly I would say have a look at that. I'll even just show you the back end of it. We won't go into making one because I'm just looking at the time. But like, for example, this is a zap that we've got going on, new media posted to my Instagram account, creates a pin in Pinterest, and we use it for some of other client stuff as well, but you could go about creating anything like. There's literally so many third-party apps that are joined with this program. So you simply we use it a lot for Facebook lead ads. So if we're running a Facebook lead ad, we would connect all that and send that lead into our client's CRM system. So that can be applied to anything for your business. So if you, for example, prompted users to send you guys a DM with the term, DM me or whatever, you could create a zap, a join to when you receive a message with those key terms, and then that would send you, an email or whatever. Like, it could just really go on for days, that automation or that flow. And you can see the potential in it. It's really fantastic. We certainly aren't using it to its fullest potential, and that's something that's a big aim for our business this year, is to get a little bit more automated in our processes, particularly with things like consultations and so on and so forth. Okay, how do I tackle content? I think the best way to tackle content is to think about it as a bit of a flow and a flow chart. Have a source of core content. So that could be, and I know we're certainly not all in the game of creating podcasts or videos or ebooks or so on and so forth, but if you can create kind of a hero piece of content, so whether that's like you literally, recording to your phone on a certain topic, that's your core piece of content, then utilize some tools, which we're going to go through in a moment, to splinter that content into maybe creating an infographic, creating a blog post about it, creating more short form video that can then feed into social media, that can create carousels, feed posts, reels. Like, you really can stretch a piece of content so far in today's environment, and certainly creating one video doesn't mean that that's done and dusted and you can't get any more out of it. There's so much longevity in content. Great, and again, like with anything in this realm, there's lots of tools to help you do that. One of them is a site called Repurpose.io. So essentially it's just like a third-party tool where you can upload a video like this, or maybe it's a podcast episode, maybe it's a TikTok video, and you can set rules and parameters around how that content is like splintered off, I guess. So it will create you transcripts, it will create you short form videos in quite a automated way. Of course, with automation, there's always things that probably require a little bit of human finesse, but such a great tool. Again, this is a goal for us, is to get a little bit more into automating and repurposing more of our content, and this is a tool that I'm certainly going to be exploring. So when it comes to content, remember that it is 100% okay to repurpose content. You've created a successful post or a video or whatever from a few months ago, find a new way to spin it. Don't feel pressured to post or show up every day. Commit to a posting frequency that you can achieve. So we've talked about a lot of different stuff today, but at the end of the day, you need to do what's comfortable for you. You don't have to be on all the different platforms to get success from your social media. I know, certainly we 100% have grown our business on Instagram, and that will always be our core platform. So we're probably not going to defer too much from that, really, and the same will probably be for your business. So consider that as your hero, and everything else is a bonus or a plus. As frustrating as it might be, it's true that people connect with people. Customers want to see the people behind the brands and the businesses they follow. So wherever you can, try to start showing up through your social media, whether it's just like a little photo of yourself, and then you start slowly getting a little bit more confident around showing yourself in video form. That's what people are really searching for in their socials. So some just rapid fire growth tactics, because we're almost done. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of different platforms today, but you can extend, I guess, the opportunities of these platforms through things like influencer marketing, which is very much geared towards platforms like Instagram and TikTok, doing competitions, collaborations, user-generated content's always a big one as well, particularly if you have like a product you sell. Getting on board trends and trending audio is a really great growth tactic. So certainly from like a TikTok perspective, if you're seeing trends pop up, can you spin it in a unique way that's related to your business? A great growth tactic is actually using all the tools on these platforms at your disposal. So if you're on Instagram, start playing with some of the different tools, because platforms like Facebook and Instagram certainly favour early adopters of things like Reels or Lives or whatever. Like, they favour people who use more of their platform, essentially. And at the end of the day, I think the biggest growth tactic is just to not take things too seriously. Like, it's not, life and death here. We're talking about social media, so just keep that in mind. And yeah, some tips to get you started, I guess, with these new platforms. Remember that consistency is key. There's no point in trying to, get on a new platform if you can't service it with content. So really do just think about that. If I can't service it with content, don't worry about it. in social media, content leads to conversation, conversions, and it builds relationships. So that's like at the core what you're wanting to use your social media for. How can I start conversations and build relationships? Be a lurker on social media and on some of these platforms before you decide to jump in. I know certainly for us, if I go back to our TikTok example, again, I've spent countless hours watching TikTok videos, and I was just a big lurker on that platform before we started to jump in with some of our own content. And it's a great way to just learn the ropes of those platforms. And try and just fight the social media overwhelm by keeping it simple. You know, you don't have to be on every social media network. Just find where your audience spends the most of their time, and be there and help them there. Woohoo! Wow, that was so well timed. We made it to the end. My biggest tip though is just to focus on 1 or 2 platforms first to get your bearings and grow from there. So yeah, good luck. That's the end. Woohoo! Yay! Thanks. Any questions? No. Good. I guess.